I was an APMF mid laner. That's
Wow.
all I played. I played Mage Misfortune back when it was good. And then I find Doki, and I'm like, what? And Doki and some other people are like, you gotta join the team. You gotta play in this league on Discord. So I play, and it was the worst experience I've ever had in my entire life.
Welcome back, everybody, to another Insights interview series piece here at Rivals. Of course, I'm your host, Righteous. And Insights is an opportunity for us to get to know a member of the esports community a little bit better. This week, we have a very special guest. It is MetaShift joining me today. MetaShift, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you, Righteous, for having me. I'm happy to be here. I usually don't do, stuff to kind of like talk about myself and let people know who I am. Usually they just get me through all the doxing, they
Yeah.
figure out who I am, and they know who I am, but let's tell them for real, from the source of who
Yeah.
I actually am.
Primary
Yeah.
sources, right? Nothing
Yeah.
secondary. Yeah, so I mean, for those of us that have been around the amateur esports scene for a while, you've been doing MetaShiftLeague for quite some time. Probably I think the furthest back I saw content wise was like 5-6 years ago, maybe even longer. But you've been doing that. You ran your own org for a little bit. But before we jump into all of that, the first question is kind of a layup. I wanted to ask you, how did you come up with the name MetaShift? What does it mean?
Yeah. So my old name was literally my name. It was M Sorensen was like my name, right?
Mm-hmm.
On my gamer tag and everything. And I was like, well, having your gamer tag be your real name's kind of weird. I should come up with something. So where I started off with League of Legends is I was an APMF mid laner. That's
Wow.
all I played. I played Mage Misfortune back when it was good, before like the season 7 Gangplank MF rework.
Okay.
Um, so I was like, all right, well, like I need to come up with a name for myself as this off meta player. And well, there you go. That's kind of the stem of everything right there. I came up with the name MetaShift. It has the same like initials as my name. My
Mm-hmm.
name's Matt Sorensen. So yeah, it was a good name, and it's kind of just like I love it too much, and kind of put it in everything that I got.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a name is super important. Most people don't even know my real name. They just call me Righteous. And so I get it, right? Like it kind of just sticks with you as time goes on. So you started League with the MF mid one trick AP. Since then, you branched off to your picks like Nico and the like. Um,
Yep.
where did your love of esports, I hope it's still a love of esports, but your interest in esports begin? It has to start somewhere for you to be so involved today. Kind of take me through that timeline, that process for you.
Yeah, so my dad put a controller in my hands probably when I was 5 years old. So I've just been playing basically PlayStation consoles since I was five. I played like all of the classics: Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter, you name it, I've played it.
Mm-hmm.
But those aren't competitive games. But I was just so good at video games because I started so young that eventually those competitive games started coming out once the online multiplayer came out. So sports games, Call of Duty, whatever you name it, right? Modern Warfare 2 was a big one for people old like me. So I just got real into it. But then when I went to college, I realized these kids don't play Call of Duty. They don't compete like that. They play Overwatch. They play League of Legends. Overwatch actually came out a couple years later, but they play these other
Yeah.
games, Dota, League, and I never heard of them. And I was like, okay, well, like I'm good at video games. I can beat you in this. And they're like, well, you have to use a keyboard and mouse. And I'm like, no, I'm going to use a controller. So I tried playing League on a controller. I really did. You can't, right? It's like
No.
not possible. But in college, it took a long time for me to actually get okay on a keyboard and mouse type game
Mm-hmm.
with the mechanics. And then that's kind of like where I fell in love with esports, because I realized that like Call of Duty esports aren't the same as what you can get into with like collegiate and stuff with League of Legends. So once I started playing League in college, man, I joined those college teams and I got real into it.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I didn't know you had a collegiate background. We actually had a guest on a couple weeks ago. His name's Tom Roma. He coaches for a school down in Louisiana. For you, you get into esports, you get into league specifically in college. You get good enough to eventually join those teams. What was that process like?
Yeah, so the silver APMF player, right?
Yeah.
They didn't really like me too much in my tryouts for the collegiate teams. I was like a freshman in college, but they were
Hmm.
like, "This guy's actually like kind of good. He's like smart or something." There was something about me because I beat like a plat player or something back then, and I was like silver, and it was like my first season. So they kind of shaped me. They coached me. They got me to play real champions. They also threw me in the jungle, so I wasn't even allowed to play mid lane anymore. But yeah, the whole process was I joined a team, I was a sub, I became a starter, I played like collegiate D2, not like the higher
Hmm.
echelon ones. It was something called C Star League. I
Okay.
guess it's like C Lol now, it's the same thing, but they kind of rebranded, rechanged everything. But it was Drexel University is where I went, that's where I played. Um, and I ended up running league at Drexel as like the game lead for probably the last 3 years I was there in my 5 year college career.
Okay.
Um, and then afterwards, I stepped away, but I came back to coach some of the players, and I still like ran tournaments. Like I tried to. I ran my own tournaments while I was at Drexel University. I went to Penn State tournaments. We went to Rutgers tournaments. Um, Afterwards, like I said, I tried to still get them to go to these tournaments, even though I wasn't at school anymore, and still kind of be involved with Drexel, still coach the players. And even past that, I've done some stuff with Harrisburg University. I ran their League of Legends tournament at Hugh Fest, like maybe 2022, 2023. And I did some University of Pennsylvania league tournament as well. I just participated, but
Hmm.
no, I've definitely been very involved with that kind of stuff. And when I'm out of college for so long, that's when like I had to do the Discord League stuff. That's
Okay.
where it went.
Okay, so take me through that transition process, right? You talked about how you were so heavily involved. You're running your own tournaments, which probably gave you a jump start on this Discord side of things. Where did MetaShift League, I guess, spring from, right? Where was that idea born?
Yeah, I go way back. Not as far back as Doki, but it all starts with Doki, and I'm sure you've heard that before. So what happened was I was playing with friends I made through the collegiate scene, the Penn State guys, the
Hmm.
what was the other Rutgers people. They're kind of all still around here and there. Like I know, recognize the names. Some of them play in MSL, some of them play in other leagues, but they're still sort of around. We're all getting old, but um, through people I played and someone like was like, "You gotta try out this tournament on Battlefy or something," and then we're
Hmm.
on Battlefy, and then I see, join this Discord server for this Battlefy tournament. So I join the Discord server, and then I find Doki, and I'm like, "What?" And Doki and some other people are like, "You gotta join the team. You gotta play in this league on Discord." So I play, and it was the worst experience I've ever had in my entire life. The first league I've ever played in, and Doki probably remembers which one it was. They changed their name, but it was like Desperado League of Legends
Okay.
eSports. I don't know. And it was just awful. The winners who won it definitely cheated. They didn't get their jerseys that were promised. I don't even think they got their winnings. So money was stolen. I don't know, man. But that was a long time ago, 8 years ago. And
Hmm.
I said, as soon as that happened, I said, I could do this better. I could make sure there's no Smurfs. I could make sure the tournament people get their money. And I have always tried to catch Smurfs, and I've always given people their money. I've never taken a dime. There's no
Hmm.
reason. There's no money. Well, there's no money in this yet. Maybe one day, but there's no reason to take money from the people. You just want to grow the brand. You want to have fun, and that's
Yeah.
what it's all about.
Yeah, so 8 years ago is when you decide it's MetaShift has become quite a an operation. It seems several leagues, several divisions within those leagues. I know you came out with a video maybe a couple weeks ago talking about some different things you're gonna be trying out heading into this split.
Yeah.
What has your experience been like as a tournament organizer? Because me and CB with Rivals League, we've kind of had that same idea. Where it's like, oh, like we've had some good experiences, some bad ones, but what if we just tried it differently? Like, what if we put our own spin on it? What would it look like? But for you, once you stepped into that realm, at least for me, it was kind of a rude awakening. Like, oh, this is not super fun all the time. There are some good
Yeah.
parts, but for you, what was that? What was that like? Getting all that running.
Yeah, so I kind of like learned the ropes in college a little bit. I
Hmm.
ran a ton of tryouts on people. I could like there were college kids trying to cheat or smurf to get onto the college teams, but on the lower ones because they didn't want to compete higher. And
Hmm.
I just saw everything, and then the tournaments too. Like I saw everything before I even started my own tournament, and then through my first couple of years of MetaShift League, like running 3 splits a year, I just learned over time. So
Yeah.
honestly, for all tournament organizers out there, it just comes with experience, because you don't know how many times someone says something to me and I'm just like, I've heard this before 5 years ago. You're cheating. I know you're cheating because you said the exact same thing. Oh, my brother, or oh, I was on a different PC at this time. Like, I've heard every excuse. I've seen everything. I can catch you. I have all the tools to catch you, stuff like that. Or, the other part of it is, do I really need to catch these people? Like, like some of it is like the dumbest things that aren't like that bad of cheating, right? Like
Yeah.
they're not going to win anyway. So it's not like there's some rule breaks, like people add subs too late, right? Or it's called like the handshake rule. I don't want to say like smurfing cheating, right? We know that
Yeah.
if you shouldn't be smurfing, but handshaking rules, I think, is probably the second most important thing as a TO, and that's why in MetaShiftLeague, if the teams agree to just like say it's a wash with some rule that's written in the rule book, I'm gonna let them do that. A lot of new TOs try to just hard force their rules, even if both teams don't want it. I let a team in playoffs play their last game as an ARAM because I did not care. They were, I think it was in a best of 5. It actually might have been my team. I don't remember. There was another team that did it too. Best of 5. I was like, just play ARAM if you want to. I don't care. They both agreed on it. It's gonna hold value, whatever the outcome is. So I think those are like 2 most important things, but it all comes with experience.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, for the tournament organizing side of thing, there's the good and the bad. I do like the opportunity we have to foster competition, grow the esport, try to maintain competitive integrity. The bad, of course, the smurfing and all the ugly side of competition that sometimes happens. For you, you said there's not really a lot of money in it. You kind of do it just to build the brand and everything like that. I've heard from numerous people within collegiate that it's kind of going away slowly but surely. It's dying. The interest isn't there. It's drying up. Nobody in high school or even younger is playing League anymore. This is obviously a question that countless people are trying to answer as time goes on. But for you, if you could do one thing to kind of bring League of Legends back to its peak, what would it be? Because like Riot, I mean, you think about all the big names. Riot themselves is struggling to answer this question because they wanted to keep going. There's been so many awesome stories, so many cool highlights and things that have come throughout the past 15 years. But we kind of have to do, for me, kind of get back into that grassroots, build that brand up again, make it fun again. But for you, like what would be your number one pitch to bring it back?
Are you? I mean, are you saying like if I was Riot Games,
Yeah,
what would
like,
I do?
well,
Or
not
okay.
if you're Riot, but like for being somebody that has been in CLOL, that has seen the interest come and go, rise and decline. How would you kind of instill interest into the game for a younger generation so that way it could continue on? Because me and you, Doki, we're all getting super
Yeah.
old at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing about my brand specifically, like what I've tried to do and accomplish, was I tried to run a tournament separate from CLOL and other collegiate tournaments because they've failed.
Hmm.
I think they failed hard. I think they work for, the higher up teams, the Maryville, Harrisburg, I don't even know, or RMU, right? There's some higher up teams that they have full challenger rosters. They pay sponsorships, or they give sponsorships to these kids who are really good at the game. And that's great, right? And that's awesome. And that scene should be the best of the best, right? That's the higher up. But if you want this game not to die and you want a CLOL tournament, it needs to be bracketed correctly and monitored. And that's kind of like where MetaShiftLeague kind of came from. I didn't want to run like Plat 4 to E4 League because I know on a college team, you're going to have that like 1 Masters player, 2 Silver
Yeah.
players, and then Plat players, because you take the best people in those positions, you can't separate them by rank.
Hmm.
And the problem with that is I've played in CLOL, and I've even played in their lower divisions that they had back then. I don't know if they still do that. They used to bracket it by divisions. I heard one year that they just threw everyone in the same bracket. which did not grow great because people just lost
Yeah.
interest and forfeited.
Yeah.
But yeah, even in the 1 year in the second division, Division Two, I was playing against challengers as a like platinum, brand new to the game player, and I was like, huh, this is not right. So college players lose interest really quickly because there's no there's no really competitive aspect for college collegiate unless you're the best of the best, and then new players probably lose interest because of the community being toxic online. uh, I think Riot's doing a fairly good job right now of catching people. I don't know if you've played, but I get probably 10 messages a day of this person's been punished, this person's been punished, and they tell you their IGN, so you can go back and look.
Mm-hmm.
And the report system's working right now, or at least it says it is.
Yeah.
And hopefully those people get punished for soft inting because that's probably the biggest problem. Um, yeah, I mean, it's the toxicity of the community, which I also don't think is that bad. It's more of a meme half the time. It's collegiate
It's
being a failure. Yeah,
it's
I mean, what's
funny
your opinion on that?
when you talk about the toxicity, like you had made
Mm.
mention of like Modern Warfare 2 and console gaming, and I was like,
You want to talk
I
about
was like,
toxic?
yeah, like that to me is like is toxic. Like if you're gonna talk about like threats and like slurs and like all that
Yeah,
stuff over voice comms, unregulated, anything goes. Like you had to be quote unquote built different to kind of handle that, especially when you're a kid, like growing up, like the
yeah,
Xbox, PlayStation, whatever. And so when people are saying like, oh, like League's so toxic and stuff, it's like, yeah, I mean, there are cases and instances where, yeah, that's valid. But I mean, come on, guys, like, what are we doing? Like, we gotta toughen up a little bit. Like, so
yeah,
I think I kind of agree with you that I don't think it's is as bad as it's been made out to be. Because like, if you tell somebody like, oh hey, I play League, you should try. It's like, oh dude, like I heard that's like a hellish landscape. Like nobody wants to touch that game with a 10-foot pole, and it's like it's
yeah,
really not that bad. There are good communities. There's friendships to be had. It's just this like, I guess this stereotype that has grown over the past however long it's been since it's been released. So in terms of that, like the best way you could do the best thing that I think you could do to combat that is just be a genuinely good person. Like yeah, you can have arguments
yeah.
and flare ups and stuff, but if you're just having a good time playing a game, then that's good. But to your point for CLOL and everything like that, I've never competed in collegiate. I've seen the highest divisions, right? The Winthrops, the
Yeah.
Maryvilles, and stuff like that,
Mhm.
which is cool, right? Like I agree.
No, it's
I
cool.
think I think there's a place for if you're a young kid, you can't go pro, but you're a challenger. You want to make a mark. Go to those schools if they want to have you and compete in tier two and stuff like that. But for a kid that's playing junior college and you're a platinum player and you want to play collegiate and they're like, okay, well this is the only thing we have, which is like the CLOL or the NECC or whatever, and you boot up your first match and you're like, I am platinum, this guy's challenger, I don't even get the lane, like
Yeah.
what is the point in doing this? Like I don't want to do this every week. That's not fun.
Right.
And so CB and I really enjoyed MetaShift because of like that point system, right? Like it gives you the
Mhm.
opportunity to play with your friends who might be better than you, who might be worse than you, put you against teams that are similar in skill overall. And there's going to be some standout players. There's going to be some players that aren't so good, but at the end of the day, it's pretty even across the board. I'm For somebody that has been, I guess, more close to the collegiate scene, how come that really isn't happening at the collegiate level? Because we see it in sports like football, right? You got Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. Like
Yeah.
if you're not a Division 1 player but you still want to play, there's a Division 2 for you. Like go and have
Yeah.
fun. Be a starter, be able to do that thing. But that's your scene, that's your place. But we just don't see that in the league.
I don't my hunch, it's more of a hunch, right? My hunch, let
Hmm.
me sit up for this one. Oh, let me sit up.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
My hunch for this one, this might be something I shouldn't say, but I'm gonna say it. My hunch for this one is that a bunch of people who run the collegiate scene are contracted by Riot somehow, right? Like
Hmm.
they because I'm fairly certain you have to be like contracted to do that. Like I can't run a collegiate tournament and call it a collegiate tournament. I don't think I can.
Mm-mm.
Right. So I think they're contracted by Riot, and it's just like CLOL, like that's the big one, or NACE or something
Yeah.
might be the Eastern Conference, whatever. I think it's all tied together. It's whatever that company is. It is ran by people who A, don't play League, and B, are a lot older than us.
Yeah.
And that's why it fails, because the people running it don't care. They're there to run like a normal sports. That's the other thing. They treat it like it's sports.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's still sports, but it's not. And then even with sports, like you said, they have those divisions and understand how to separate the players. You separate them by skill, but for some reason, there's no skill. It's not the same. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't prevent I mean, I guess like you could. I guess it could happen if you're a D1 basketball player, but you're like, I'm gonna go play club. Like they can probably they'll probably let you play club basketball, but why would you do that, right?
Yeah.
If you're that good, why wouldn't you just play on the main team? Like if you made the team, you'd play. But it doesn't work that way for video games, because let's say I am challenger, but I have a plat account. Maybe I don't want to try. I don't want to sweat. I just want to shit on noobs, right? Like I just want to have fun. Then
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna happen. It's gonna ruin it. And I don't even blame those people, man, because I completely get it, right?
Yeah.
Video games sometimes aren't about you know, what is the reward for even
Yeah.
winning CLO, right? Like it might not be that big of a deal, especially if you come from a much less invested college
Yeah.
in that organization. But yeah, I think the main thing is that the contracts that Riot has for whoever's running the collegiate scene, it's just not going well. And maybe they haven't heard enough that like it's not going well. I mean,
Yeah.
the upper part's great, right? I've been on stage with Harrisburg University and Maryville and X Special, and it was a fucking awesome thing. I loved it. Great event. Sorry for cursing. I don't know if
No,
we
you're
need to
good. No,
polish that out.
totally. No, you're
Okay.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, that was awesome. But I still think about the teams that had to play in that tournament that weren't that good, and we could have put them in a different bracket. And there's plenty of stuff like that. So
Yeah, it's weird, right? I think the only time that I feel like I say Riot, whatever it is, whatever governing body is over League of
yeah,
Legends esports, has kind of hit the mark.
God,
Yeah, is when they made Mark Z the LCS, now the LTA commissioner, because like that's a guy that's been in it, right? He was a coach for Team Liquid for a while, or Curse Academy, I think. He was an analyst on broadcast. He had a personality about him, and they're like, okay, I mean, our brand is failing in North America, which if you want to do anything in sports or otherwise, like you can't have a brand fail in North America because that's where the money's at. So what do? Let's go to him. He's gonna have some ideas. And for better or for worse, I think the ideas have been hitting, at least for me. I don't know how much you've been watching the pro scene, at least. The problem is the damage has already been done, right? Like it's no longer damage control. It's like pick up the pieces and let's try to rebuild, which nobody ever wants to be in that position. And so for a longtime fan, which I am, to go from like, LCS finals, selling out arenas, TSM, CLG, C9, TL, like all these orgs doing awesome, to now half of those teams aren't even in the league anymore. There's players that don't really have any personality or anything like that. And the league itself is just kind of like it's not really what it once was. I think it should be made a bigger deal than it is, because if you ask the biggest personalities, it's it's just the ebbs and flows. Like, COVID, we had that big boom. This was expected. It's like, well, yeah, sure, but at some point, like, I want the league to keep going, right? I want people to keep playing this game, because there is, there's the MetaShift community. There's things like Blue Otter, Risen, Titan, all those other amateur scenes where if the game ceases to exist, then all of a sudden people lose out on a hobby that's really fun for them. So I appreciate you indulging me in your theories there. Speaking of competing, I mean, you went from being a collegiate player to running an org, OME. You told me it's not really running anymore, but for a long time we actually competed a couple times in MetaShiftLeague, and we saw plenty of teams throughout various skill levels from OME. Can you talk to me a little bit about what that experience was like, and kind of what spurred you to do that on top of already running MetaShiftLeague and things?
Yeah, I actually had like a really good thing going that it's not even two reasons it stopped working with the OME stuff. So OME is formerly Drexel Esports. That's all it was, right? Drexel
Okay.
University Esports. It was the college kids that I. It's when I went back and started coaching. I was like, you guys need a like. They kind of didn't have a game lead for League of Legends anymore, so there were a bunch of League of Legends players, but they had nothing to do, nowhere to go. And I was like, I'll literally. I reached out to the Drexel CEO or Drexel Esports CEO or whatever, and I said, hey, I'll run your tryouts and I'll put these people in teams. You can have people manage the teams or whatever you want to do like on your side, but like I'm just going to coach them, run the tryouts, and funnel them into MSL.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a bunch of Drexel League of Legends teams just to add more teams to MSL, but also it was like the only way to kind of get. So I have a few colleges that like would play in MSL.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if you know Beg for Mercy,
Yeah.
he's with NMU, well, was with NMU, then was with another college, but he always helped me do the same exact thing, funnel collegiate students into the Discord leagues. It doesn't have to just be MSL; it could be the other ones, right?
Yeah.
We talked about that. You talked about Blue Otter, Titan, Aegis, Prison, but yeah, no. So the whole thing with OME was it was Drexel University Esports. Then Drexel stopped like wanting to fund it, or they didn't want us to call it Drexel University. So I was like, all right, well, we need another name. That's fine. Just call it OME, which was another thing that I had kind of saved in the back. You know, I was like, well,
Mm-hmm.
off meta esports, MetaShift, same thing, but
Yeah.
backwards, right? So it was like, okay, like we'll just call it off meta esports, OME. We'll funnel the people into there. So instead of being called Drexel, to call it that. And then it was the same thing, the same process. We would take the people from Drexel, put them into OME, run tryouts, coach them, send them into MSL. And then at some point, Drexel cut ties to us because our League of Legends community was toxic to their gaming community. No surprise there. We had some bad eggs, of course, but
Yeah.
none of the ones that you see in MSL. If they were bad eggs, you know they weren't in our group. But you
Mm-hmm.
know, it only takes one or two people to ruin it. But the reason it stopped was because of that. Drexel kind of cut us off, or the Drexel student organization cut us off. And then two, all of my players from Drexel, I mean, 3 4 years go by, they don't really play League anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't have access to the new players, but I also don't really. I kind of started that for them and for them to keep it going. It's not my responsibility. Like I already graduated. I'm already out 6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for me anymore. Like these are children. So
Yeah.
I'm off doing my own thing. MSL is running good, but it was a good way for me to kind of keep that chain and keep the flow of players and teams into the Discord community, the amateur
Mm-hmm.
scene. It sucks that I lost that with Drexel University because I kind of also lose it with the other collegiate like Penn State, Rutgers, Temple, UPenn, those other
Mm-hmm.
nearby ones that we would compete against. And that is a problem with the amateur scene right now. We're dropping college kids because they don't really have a good uh, they don't have good we don't have good advertising to them. We
Yeah.
can't grab them anymore.
I mean,
Yeah.
I could share a little bit about how I kind of found amateur esports. I was in college
Yeah.
as well. You know, I'd played in high school with my friends. It was always ranked.
Mhm.
This is back when they had ranked fives, which,
That needs to come back as well.
yeah.
Flex is pointless. Rank fives gives people a place to like. Clash is not enough. Well, I'll let you finish. Go
No, no, no,
ahead.
you're good. We'll get to you. But yeah, so I was just playing with my high school friends, and like we kept in touch. We kind of went separate colleges, in state, out of state, whatever. And I was just like, man, like how cool would it be for me? Because like I'm not gonna be challenger. Like you know that could be a goal, but like realistically, I don't have the time. I don't have the hands. Whatever it might be. How cool would
Yeah.
it be to have like an amateur LCS? So I kind of just Googled. I was like, like, is there anything like this? And then there was like, you know, some random Reddit post from months ago. It was talking about I don't know if you know this Overdrive League, which is now it became Zero Gravity Gaming, and
I
then
remember yeah,
yeah,
ZGG.
so before ZGG was Overdrive League, and
Hmm.
there's a whole story behind there. But that's how I got into amateur because I just joined the Discord. I was like, hey, I'm new. I think this is cool. Is there a team that I, you know, kind of like you or with Doki and everything? Um,
Yeah.
but if you don't have that, I guess, desire or that thought to seek it out, it's really not ever going to be in front of your eyes. Like, I mean,
Yep.
there's just people that will go forever playing League of Legends, whether they're Challenger or Iron, where they just will never know that this community exists. And for better or for worse, I guess mostly for worse is unless there's a way for that to change, I mean, the thing that we're doing with Rivals League, it's only like about plat emerald level average.
Yeah.
I've heard IBSG has pretty much almost gone extinct in terms of
Yeah.
of players that have expressed interest or enough teams to actually make a league worthwhile, because most of the people that were in IBSG have gotten better at the game, which is awesome. They've improved plat, emerald, whatever. But it's kind of a worrying trend to see that, because that's where I started, right? Like, I was a gold player
Yeah.
once. That was fun. But now it's few and far between for those opportunities. I don't know if you have anything to share in regard. Well, you obviously did, but
Yeah, but I mean, with regards to IBSG,
yeah,
it would probably be IBSGP now, right? With the
yeah,
Riot killed it when they introduced Emerald in
emerald.
a way,
Mm-hmm.
because they introduced Emerald, they gave us all double LP gains, and people just skyrocketed to like new ranks. And then the problem with IBSG is like most of us who have been playing League long enough are level 300 plus on our accounts,
Yeah,
and we've probably at least hit plat, because you almost start there. I mean, you might start silver, but like you win half your games, you're plat
yeah,
in 30 games or so or something. And now you have new players who are going to immediately climb or immediately fall to bronze or iron, and to try to get these new players to play in a competitive environment, one, it's hard to convince them, and then two, do they have the player eligibility requirements? Most of them don't. They
yeah.
haven't played enough ranked games. They haven't played ranked every season. They don't have the account level. They only play ARAM. They have,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, do we let them play? Because then you get into shady territory where anybody's Smurf account can play.
Yeah,
Because like some of my Smurfs, even to this day, are higher account level than people have been playing for a long time, but they just don't play as much, or they don't level up through because they only play ARAM or
yeah.
something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that makes it really hard for a TO. Now you can go, and I think these leagues run terribly. These tournaments, if you can try to do like, oh, if we see a player who's too good, we'll get rid of them. But
It's
how do
just
you get rid of
yeah,
someone on the grounds that they're too good at the game? Like that
yeah.
defeats. That's like not legal in tournament. Like that's just not right in a
Mm-hmm.
way. So it gets really complicated, which is in my mind the way it's how it happened. I think Emerald 4 is probably the Emerald 4 caps like the minimum you can really do right now. Um, and there's a lot of bad Emerald 4 players. So hopefully, some of these gold silver players, they want to play. It shouldn't discourage them from competing. It may, but they might be good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Or they get better. They get the experience.
Yeah.
Do screams. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
Rough.
for
It's
me,
rough.
yeah, it's rough, right? Because if you are new and you have that desire, say you do look up, you found this Discord or whatever, and it's like, oh, you need, level 150 account, and you're like, well, I just unlocked ranked, like,
I just started.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to do? And just to kind of tell them, like, oh, you just keep grinding. It's like, well, I don't want to do that. Like, I just want
Yeah.
to play it, So if players want to play, it is a tough thing. But you were saying something before I finished my story about
Yeah. About ranked fives,
yeah,
right?
ranked fives. Yep.
I think all right. I think the most toxic thing about most of these types of games where you like we're one player with four random teammates against five players who are all random teammates, right? Most of the
Mhm.
time, unless there's like duos, whatever. But to keep that's why it's toxic, right? Because you can't always control the outcome of the game. You
Yeah.
could play 100% perfect and still lose because you can't control the outcome of the game. And then, you know, there's certain things like that people get pissed off at for you doing. Maybe you mess up, whatever. But what can fix that is if you have a place to play with your friends, right? You want to play in a ranked environment, but you already have a pre-made 5 team, right? Yeah, sure. You have these Discord leagues that you don't know about. Yeah, you have collegiate
Yeah.
that sucks. But ranked fives was an awesome place because imagine you and your buddies are terrible. You're so bad, but you demote all the way down to bronze ranked fives. That might be the most fun thing you could have in your life, right?
Mhm.
And flex queue's not that. Flex queue's just not that. I mean, you could play flex queue, but I think ranked fives was much better. And then let's say you don't have 5 friends, you don't have an average group of fives. They got rid of threes. They have rotating arena. They have rotating other
Yeah.
game modes. Just keep one game mode for like, I don't know, just throw in ranked 3v3 ARAMs. Who cares, right? You have
Yeah.
ranked 3v3 ARAMs, you have ranked fives, you have the regular game, and then a rotating game mode. That would be awesome. I know that, it might be hard for them to not rotate the game mode and still keep up multiple game modes like for their servers.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be such a huge fix, especially for new players. You talked about how do you get a new player to play League One? I don't even want to introduce people to this game because it's such a hard learning curve, and there's no help. There really
No.
isn't. I would have to hold their hand and teach them the game, and you have to play thousands of games before you know how to play League of Legends.
Mm-hmm.
I can't teach them every game. Like, I would have to be learning it with them.
Yeah.
And the tutorials aren't enough. I don't know how many people you run into in ranked who literally don't know how the game works. Like,
Mm-hmm.
from our competitive amateurs perspective, like, we know
Yeah.
we know things that they don't. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess to give a little bit of perspective for those watching that, like, what are they talking about? Flex and rank 5 seem like it's the same thing. It's like, no, it was
Yeah, no,
it was
very different.
It was very different because you literally could only queue up as 5, and you didn't have to like say what role. It was like it was built into the system that, like, yeah, this is the spot where you go, where you have voice comms, you're trying to be competitive, you're trying to win. I mean, for those that wanted that, other people are like you said, that maybe they were just doing it for fun because they had, 4 friends, they wanted that competitive experience. Flex is just kind of like, it's like solo queue light, it feels like, whereas like this is
Yeah.
where you go to like not get flamed.
Yeah, and I think the reason they went to Flex is because there wasn't enough consistent
Yeah.
5-man teams queuing up. But if you're a 5-man against even just like a 3 and a 2, you're probably gonna beat them. It's not fair. I don't
Yeah.
know if they do like a MMR delta there, but like you said, it's treated like solo queue. You go into the game expecting, if you go into a flex queue game expecting a real game of League of Legends, you're not going to get it most of the time. You're
Mm-hmm.
probably more likely to get it in a normal game,
Mm-hmm.
which is, and I don't even think it's quick play now, right?
They still have
I think.
norms. They still have norms.
Oh, they still have norms?
They have
Okay.
swift play too now. Yeah.
Okay, so there is a normal draft or whatever, but yeah, you're probably more likely to get a normal game in the normal game mode.
Mm-hmm.
But if they wanted to fix that queuing system, maybe they could do something where it's like sort of like Clash, where you can do something else in client, maybe ARAM or something. You can play ARAM till the queue pops or something, like, I don't know, or TFT. Like, maybe there's a way that they can fix the queuing system. So long queues
Yeah.
are kind of just like scheduled out. Like, yeah, you found an opponent. I don't know. Maybe you schedule it like a scrim. I don't know, but
Yeah. We're gonna queue up
they
at the
would
same
have to.
time.
Yeah, like if the queue times were too long for ranked 5s, I'm sure they could figure out a better queuing system than your normal queuing system.
Yeah, it's just tough. I mean, obviously there's a lot of intricacies that you and I both don't get to see, but it's
Yeah.
funny because I don't know when you started first playing League. You said in college, but
2013,
yeah,
2014.
so towards
Season
near the
4?
beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
I call it the beginning. Season 4 is
The
like,
beginning.
whatever, but
Season 4 is the beginning, I think.
yeah. 3 years off, but we used to have I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is kind of my sentiment. League of Legends used to be ran by highly active devs within the community. They were like seeing what was working, see what wasn't working. We used to have, I remember there was a show on YouTube where they would like do like community fan art, and they would have people on, they ask them questions and
Yeah.
stuff like that. You had Twisted Tree Line. You had like, I just watched a video the other day where Riot put on this like lore show match where Demacia was getting, or not Demacia, Ionia was getting invaded by Noxus, and it was going to put a new item into the game. And like, there were so many different ways to create a sense of community, which is kind of what we're trying to do with an amateur, with content pieces like this. To now, it's just like, Riot's almost kind of like this faceless entity, and it's like, okay, here's your patch notes, here's your thing. Freak doesn't even want to do stuff on Twitter anymore because it's so toxic, and like, I don't know. I mean, it just, for those of us that knew what League was like, where you had the forums, you had like all of this community centered stuff. To see it now, it's just like it's not the same. Do you think we could get back there? I don't know. Maybe you think differently. Maybe I'm kind of not right here.
I don't think it's just League. That's the problem. I
Okay.
think it might be like a more social, I wouldn't say social media, but like a social societal thing that has like with technology, the way things have progressed with like influencers and
Mm-hmm.
other things. Like these people don't do it for the like the heart, the soul, the feeling, right?
Yeah.
They do it for like self like to feel better about themselves or to make money, like one of the two, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like an influencer person might be like, you know, oh my god, I have all these followers, but if they're not doing it in like a like they're not actually helping you, it's more about them just feeling good about themselves more than it is
Mm-hmm.
about helping people. And then yeah, I mean about like the money, right? Like what changed is I think and I think my girlfriend has more insight on like what happened with Arcane, but I think like Arcane, they wanted to bring more. It was kind of like a treat for the League of Legends community, and they wanted it to bring more people into the game, but it actually didn't really bring more people into the game. However, it was awesome. But then
Yeah.
now after Arcane, Riot is just like, hey, let's have like gotcha rolling things and like battle passes that you have to pay for every split that are very expensive and $500 skins, and it's like, whoa, they really just want money out of us now because I guess they're somehow short of money, but like they're definitely not, right? They just have a ton of staff and they want more profit, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe they do just need money. And when things start to get like that, then you get a faceless entity running it versus just that like that feel. And then when you go to the people who are creating content,
Mm-hmm.
um, there's some good ones out there, but a lot of them are just like the almost Mr. Beast thumbnail, like, oh, can you believe this? Like fake
Yeah.
thing, and then you go and watch it, and you're like, this is stupid. Or it's like a coach trying to teach you how to play something that is just completely wrong. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's rough out there, folks. Be careful of what content you absorb. But
Yeah. I don't know. It seems to me like, cause I just remember when I was a kid, which I mean it wasn't that long ago, where you're just watching everything. And you're like, wow, this is cool. Like at one point, I was like, man,
yeah,
I wish I lived in LA because I had all those events they were doing and everything like
yeah,
that. And now it's just like, I mean, the esports scene is still around, I guess. Like that's cool. Teams are still doing their thing, but it's not the same as it used to be. Um, Speaking of change, I don't know if you want to go into to MetaShift at all. I mean, you have tons
sure.
of support staff that volunteer a lot of their time to make sure everything can go over smoothly there. I know it takes. I think it from running Rivals League, it was eye opening how much time you actually have to spend behind the scenes for answering questions, making checks, like whatever it is. And that's we only have 6 teams. Like you guys have way more than that. You got a lot going on. If you want to talk about some of the changes you got going on there, what MetaShift is, where you can check it out, and anything that you want to talk about in regards to that.
Sure. Yeah, I'll just say like in comparison to the other tournaments, so most of the tournaments they just run like a ranked cap with some special rules. So if you want to play in the Emerald 4 cap league, your entire team needs to be under Emerald 4. What MetaShift League has been for a while and what it wanted to be was more of a point system, like I said, to allow like collegiate teams who have I don't know, one diamond player, two plat players, two gold players to still play in the Emerald League, even though that one player is too high to play, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we developed a system for it. The system's adapted over many years. We're very happy with where it is now. Um, and one of the coolest things is that op.gg now gives you peak rank. So when we do like API pools or whatever stuff to get like rank data, like we can get peak rank. Before it was really hard to get current peak. It was much easier to get the past peaks from like League of Graphs and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the changes we made though, for a while, MetaShift League was like these elo brackets of these other leagues. They only run like four things. They have the Emerald, the Plat, the Diamond, the Masters, whatever. They're just too close together. If you have a team that's average D4 in the same league as a team that's average D1, the D4 team gets cleared every day. It's like not even close. So MetaShiftLeague tried to do like 2 in each, which ended up being 6 to 8 different divisions. But with production, that's like nearly impossible, right? I cannot stream. I don't have the money or the resources or the people, and it's just too much overlap to stream that all throughout the week. So what we're doing is we're kind of going back to that large separation in skill. However, it'll still be better because I'm kind of cutting out the lower end and the upper end. So instead of having like 6, we're just doing the middle 4, which is like you said, IBSG is kind of just gone. And I think there's enough like high elo master stuff out there. And once you get into that range, like go play and like, I don't know, go pro, dude.
Go play in the leagues that matter. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm just trying to, fit my community and what we need. And some other things I'm working on in the background is like, I want the website to be better. I want stats and standings to be working. I want roster changes to kind of work like you would go on fantasy football and change your roster. Like I want it to be so easy and simple. I want everything to work. Back when I had like the MetaBot, where it kind of did work that way, but it was like laggy, and then I had too many teams, and I think Google kind of rate limited me. And then content, right? I definitely think that one of my major shifts in focus for this upcoming league will be content, and that's why I was super happy to do this interview, because I see you guys putting out content, and from what I know about Rivals, CB and his brothers, like it's not a very large like group of people over there, right?
No.
It's only a few you guys in a trench coat. So the fact that you're able to do this stuff is awesome. And I'm obviously here to support it. You've supported me over the years. And so I get to share a little bit about myself.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Happy to work with you. So
yep. MetaShift, OME, keeping Rivals from winning a championship once or twice. But it was fun. I definitely we sold the idea of the point system. We definitely enjoyed that. We think it's a more fair way to get to what the community intends, which is to play with your friends in like a semi-quasi like professional system. So but yeah, I can't speak highly enough about MetaShift. The league and the person before you. He definitely takes into consideration all aspects, because he has heard it all, right? He said a lot before, like, I've been doing this for years, you can't pull a fast one on me. But he definitely does care, right? He is one of those people that cares about not only the product but the people in it. And it's fun. This is why we're doing these inside things, because I don't think a lot of people really get to know TOs, players, whatever it might be, the actual person behind what you see every day. So thank you so much for joining me and MetaShift. It's been awesome. We got to cover a lot of different things. We could probably speak for another 2 hours, but I don't want to take up all of your time. I know I put your Twitter handle underneath you. You don't see it, but you'll see it eventually. You got MetaShift on Twitch. You got any other projects or things for people to come look out that we can maybe link in the description?
No, not that I know of. I'm really not on. I'm really bad with that stuff. Let's just say I don't really have a lot of social media links going on. I keep it on the DL. Yeah. If you know, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely go check out MetaShiftLeague as well. I think you got a start date announced yet?
It's gonna get pushed back, but sometime in a month, hopefully.
Okay, you got time to sign up. Is what I'm hearing.
Plenty of time to sign up. It might, honestly, since we're getting pushed back, we're gonna run into July 4th. Like probably the week after July 4th, it'll start. I'll just start after the holiday.
Awesome.
That seems like the best thing to do.
Appreciate it. If you enjoy this kind of content, definitely like, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff that people tell you to do. It would go a long way to helping us out. And we will be live on Sunday with the next week of Rivals League. Maybe MetaShift to tune in, hopefully. But it'll be fun. Playoffs are getting close, and some spiciness has been occurring. So everybody take care, and we will see you back on the next piece of content. Thank you so much.